Welcome, everyone, to the Vision Straight Masterclass Series, Season 2. And today, my goodness, when we were planning to go with Season 2 and looking at how do we get this show on the roll, who do we invite as our guest, what will challenge us as a company, the only person that came to mind was Dr. Jennifer Stewart. How are you today, Doc?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here. Happy Monday, everybody.
Hey, Dr. Stewart, how are you?
I'm good. I'm ready to have some fun here.
Can you hear me, Dr. Stewart?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear?
No, the privilege is all ours. Honestly speaking, I've been...
Oh, now I hear you. We're good now.
Absolutely. Hey, Dr. Stewart, are you back?
I'm back. We're good. Now I can hear you.
I don't know what happened here. I'm like...
I'm here.
Here we go. That's technology for you. We try and do something different and then it does its own thing, but I'm glad we managed to get back. Everyone, apologies for that slight glitch in the connection, but we're good to go.
I'm ready.
Dr. Stewart, I've been observing and following you for the past few years, and I'm blown away, firstly, by your commitment to excellence. But then the question that comes to mind is, where does she find the time to do all of this? When one reads your profile, you read a whole 10-page document of all the things that you have accomplished, all the wonderful work that you are doing in making a difference to the eye care industry. But then when one connects with you, you come across, you are exactly this most humble individual that you could ever meet. Your accessibility, your let's go for it, your yes attitude, all of that comes so natural. Who's Dr. Stewart? How did the eye care
I don't
industry...
sleep. No, I'm kidding. It's a good question. I am somebody who just loves optometry and can't get enough. So I can't stop finding fun things to do. And I'm really diligent about scheduling time for everything. So my whole day is scheduled. So I'm really good at kind of separating all the different projects, but also I'm glad you say that. I try to stay connected and try to hopefully inspire and engage other people. And I know when I was just starting out in so many of the things that I was doing, I would tap into and reach out to other people. And so many people made time to mentor me and to help me. So I feel it's super important for me to also give back and have time for somebody who's interested in sports vision or somebody who's interested in private practice or speaking or consulting or writing. Whatever that may be, I also try and slot in time to mentor and to help others who are looking to do other cool things in optometry.
Wow. This is a masterclass series. We've got different leaders from all over the world who are aspiring to become trailblazers of their competency area of interest in their respective countries. And so with just what you've just said right now, how do you go about identifying opportunities? What is the process involved that you apply in identifying opportunities? And if you don't mind in answering that, also go into some of the things that you currently are involved with, if you don't mind sharing that for us.
That's a good question. So if you had asked me 10 years ago, I would have had a very different answer, where I would have said, basically, if somebody asked me to do something, I would welcome the opportunity and try and add it into seeing patients, being a mom, doing other roles. And I would just kind of find a way to add it in, even if it wasn't something that maybe I really was excited about, or I'd say, okay, that maybe this isn't something it's not my dream thing, but let me try it and see, or I don't really want to travel there, but somebody's asking me to do it, so I'll do it. Come 10 years later, if I continue to do that, I think I truly wouldn't sleep. So I really think about what gives me excitement, or what I feel when somebody asks me to do a project, or when something lands on my desk or email box. Is it something that I have kind of a heck yes? Do I feel, oh my gosh, thank you, this is such a yes, I have to do this, or maybe. If it's a maybe, or I don't know, to me, then now it's a no. So I've really tried to prioritize my time, because there are only 24 hours in a day, and even I can't squeeze much more into that. But I really, so I really try and now pick things that I'm passionate about, or are really exciting and make me feel good about doing, versus just doing something for the sake of doing. So I think it's an evolution. It definitely wasn't how I started. I really would, if somebody wanted me to write something or speak somewhere, and I just would do it just because I was trying to build my brand and trying to get myself out there. And I think it's important to do that. And I think it is important to stretch yourself and to maybe do things that you're slightly uncomfortable with. But if you gain experience and then find down the line, if I'm dreading something, or if I'm not feeling great about it, then it's probably a no. So I think that's a great way to start prioritizing projects and start figuring out what brings you joy, what makes you excited, what do you want to allot that spare time, that none of us have an infinite source of time. So really thinking about what brings you excitement and joy, and what makes you get out of bed in the morning, what excites you, what do you want to learn about, what do you want to share. So for me, it would be hard for me if somebody asked me to speak and write.
I hear you.
On certain subjects that I could, glaucoma is not my specialty, or low vision. And if somebody asked me to come present on those, I could do it, but I wouldn't be my best self, because it's not my thing. So I think really kind of figuring out what you love to do and creating a business or a practice or a niche around that could be super helpful.
Oh, I don't know why this keeps happening. I'm so.
That's okay. It's what happens in the world today. I mean, how many miles are we apart? Thousands and thousands of miles. So
Yeah, this is so.
That we're here. It's pretty amazing that technology works for us here. So.
And this is usually the best time for me to connect with people from different parts of the world, because that's when the internet is most stable on my part. So I don't know why you're jinxing it. I'm blaming you for this. I'm
It
really
is
blaming
me.
you for
It's
this.
Monday. It's a Monday problem.
But you were just, when we got cut off, you were just sort of like coming into the last part about the process where you decide what you go for and what you don't go for. If you don't mind, for those listeners who just missed that last part, just if you don't mind summarizing that for us. And again, apologies for that.
No, so I really think about kind of, I use my heck yes. If it's something that somebody asked me to do and it's, wow, oh my gosh, I'm honored to do that. Or wow, like this, you asked me to do this. This was an absolutely put a time on my calendar. Let's do it, because this was something that I thought was great. But there's also things that we can get asked to do that are, oh, that's a lot of time commitment, or, oh, like that's not something I'm really great at, or that's something I'm not really interested in. And I'm not really sure if I have that kind of emotion or that kind of reaction at this point, it's usually, well, maybe not at this time. So I've kind of weeded out based on what really makes me excited and what I look forward to doing and what I'm super honored to do versus just doing things for the sake of doing them.
What do you define as the difference between popularity and like effectiveness, because a lot of the times people are busy on social media, are busy on these different platforms, but when you take a deep dive into the person or the work itself, there's no substance. But when with you have built longevity, you have built processes in place, you have built structures in place. So how do you define, or how did you define the difference between being famous and popular versus being effective and actually changing organizations, changing people's lives? What was your process around that?
I'm so honored. This is amazing. I think it's picking things that I'm passionate about and that I believe in, and not just sharing things for the sake of sharing them. Because we're all on social media, and we're all on LinkedIn and Instagram, and sometimes I'm on Twitter, although I'm never on there because I'm not very good at it. I'm not on TikTok. Well, that's one. Like, I know I'm not a TikTok person. I know that it's just not my skill set. I know that it's not what I don't even have the app. I watch TikTok videos on my phone. Yes. So
I'm exactly like you.
So I know what TikTok is, and I just look at colleagues who create TikTok content and I think, oh my gosh, like, again, that's amazing. It's just not my skill set, and it's not how I feel like I've built my brand. So I could, if I was not being authentic, say, shoot, I'm getting left behind. Let me sign up for TikTok. Let me take all the time to learn that and then create content for that, which is not really authentic to me. It's not really what I want to do, but I feel like I'm being left behind. So let me do it, which I haven't. And I feel pretty comfortable not doing that. Again, like I need another app on my phone, right?
True.
So I think that's part of it, is defining what you want to be and who you want to be and what you want your brand to be. For me, it's really more on the education content. So it's really on sharing articles or sharing publications and highlighting brands that I believe in. So for me, LinkedIn and Instagram have helped me build that relationship and cultivate that network. For me, TikTok, it's not part of that. So I've stayed away from that. I think that can help figure out what's authentic, what you do to be popular versus to be inspirational or effective. For me, kind of using LinkedIn to connect with other professionals has been huge. Instagram also, probably a little less so, but in LinkedIn for sure. I mean, that's how we connected. So I think it's really, for me, it's building this authentic brand that's focused on education, inspiration, motivation, but not, not in the way that I would use TikTok. I would have a hard time using TikTok, I think, to do that. So I think that can help. Is, again, we don't have a lot of hours in the day. So how can we be active on everything? I'm certainly not a social media expert, but for me, that's been enough.
I wanted to ask you then, how do you make the decision around monetizing the ideas? Because in building the brand, I've seen it with myself. There's a lot of activities that go in what you have to do online to take your name out there, make it a global brand, build a trusted brand that when people think of something specific that you do, you are the person that comes to mind pertaining to that. But then there's a lot of activities that happens behind the scenes where you're charging people for certain things. You've got a speaker's fee.
Yeah.
You're writing an article. Is there a fee to it? Is there no fee for it? So how did you go about establishing that process around what you're going to monetize, what you can monetize, and what you just do for the sake of just building your brand, if I put that in inverted commas? How did that work for you?
Wait till you see my invoice for this. No, I'm kidding. You didn't ask yet. No.
On that note, bye-bye.
Oh, my internet went out. So I think, again, it goes back in the beginning. I did a lot, if somebody asked me to write an article, absolutely. I just want to get better at doing things and to get my name out there. As I've gotten thankfully more busy, and as people ask me to do a lot, I did have to have that hard decision of, I can't do everything for free, because I wouldn't be able to support my family. So I had to really think about what I wanted to do. Can I do some things, as a gift and do that? But how do I, that's the biggest question people ask me is, how do you run a business, or how do you make a living doing this? And it really takes a lot of time. And I think in the beginning, doing things that people ask you to do to build your brand and to get your name out there are really helpful. Anyone that asked me to write an article, absolutely, I'd do it. I would write for anybody, anytime, anywhere, about anything. And it helped me get better and helped me figure out what I like to do. So then if somebody came to me and then said, we'd like to pay you for this, I went, oh, okay. I didn't expect that. And it happens. And I think, the better you get at things and the more your name means, which I'm still honored and still flattered that my name means things. But I think then that it is expected that, if you're asking to be something to be done, or you to do something, that there is a payment that goes along with that. And it took a while. It took a while to feel comfortable doing that, or to feel that it was worth it, that, oh my gosh, I still pinch myself when people ask me to do things and then they pay. It's still kind of a pinch me moment. I'm like, wow, really? It's amazing. It's amazing. And I tell my husband that all the time. I still am amazed that I get to do this and I get paid for it. It is an unbelievable career, but it takes time to get there. And that's when I get a lot of people messaging me about speaking. How do you become a speaker, and how do you get asked to speak and to speak for companies? And it didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen last year. It happened really slowly over time. And COVID actually helped a lot with people asking me, can you jump on this panel? And I'm like, sure. I literally have nothing else to do right now. So sure. And I think that opened a lot of doors for me, was people asking me to, jump on this panel, jump on this conversation. Can you present 15 minutes on this? And I said yes to all of those because A, I was bored. I had nothing else to do. B, I was not a good virtual presenter because no one had ever done this. Didn't exist. And I went, oh God, I couldn't ask somebody to pay for me when I don't even know where am I looking? What's my background? And after I got better and better at that, then it started to be, we'd love to have you on this webinar. There's an honorarium of X. And I went, oh, okay, sure. So it takes time, and it takes time. It takes networking. It takes being available, being flexible, being comfortable with taking criticism, and being ready to make yourself better, and knowing that, we all have a lot to learn. I still don't I won't rewatch this. But I had to rewatch myself when I was giving presentations and figure out how to be better. So it takes a lot of time and self-reflection and discipline and just practice, because it's not easy.
Wow. We're obviously all growing and evolving every single time. Do you have a moment where you felt like you failed in all these things that you were doing, where you felt like, this was not at the standard that I wanted it to be, oh, I dropped the ball? And how did that make you feel? And what did you do to fix it? And then the second part of that question then becomes, was there ever a moment where you're like, yeah, I did that. Yeah, that's me. Yeah, no one could have done it better than me. So literally the extreme end of both questions.
So I will say when I was when I started working for Cooper Vision as a speaker, this was pre-COVID. So this was probably 2017, 2018. We had to record ourselves presenting a deck. And I had never done that. I've only presented live, and I had done it, for here and there. I could not do it and I sat at my computer. It took me, an hour to figure out even how to do it. And then I would present one slide and it was so bad, and I'd re-record it and I'd re-record it. And I'm telling you, I was in tears, and I said, I'm not cut out for this. This is just not working. This is just terrible. And I just got through it, and I sent it and I went, that's the end of my speaking career, because it was so bad. And I thought, this is just not for me. I was hired as a virtual presenter, and I went, oh my gosh, the very thing I was hired for, I just can't do it. I've come to realize I know my strengths. Recording myself is 100% absolutely terrible. Even to this day, when I am not good. If you said to me, I'm going to ask you questions and have you record yourself, it would be terrible. I am not good at turning the camera on and talking to myself. That is just not a strength. I've learned to cope. So I've learned strategies because I have to do it sometimes. And I've had to learn how to do that. So one trick I have for myself is if there's no video, my friends know I do this. There's a teleprompter app you can use on Zoom. So actually, if there is video and no slides, I mean. So if I have to record myself and it's just me on the screen looking at myself, I will use a teleprompter because I can't think. I'm just not good at free flowing when I'm recording. It is like a different person comes on the camera and she's terrible. So even virtual, I'm super comfortable virtual. I would prefer, actually, I love virtual presenting. But that is my kryptonite, is if you ask me to pre-record something, I'm going to struggle. I'm going to redo it 3 times. It gets worse every time. I know it. But again, that's something I'm working on. I'm just not good at it. On the flip side, things that I've done, and I'm like, some presentations that I think, especially live, being in a room with people, I've presented a couple lectures that had, 100, 200, 300 people in there. And to see people laughing when I make a joke, because I joke all the time, and to see people smiling and to watch them take notes and to watch them just to have this conversation and watch them. Yes, exactly. I mean, that it's harder virtually. So I know it's harder virtually, but I know people do it. And I know I have my notes here whenever I'm watching something. But live, to watch people nod along with you and to write things down and to connect and to feel that they're actually learning something from me is still, every time I do it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I still can't believe it. And I think that's really, for me, the flip side of my recording myself, where I feel like a failure. I'm not somebody, when I present live, I don't script it. Obviously, we know I'm not good at that. I don't script it, and I don't really rehearse, and I don't practice. I write my slides and I look at them once, and then I go out there and I always say, whatever happens, happens. And that's how I present. It's not good for everybody. It's probably not best practice for most people, but for me, that's how I am. If I try and memorize things or have cues or write things down, it just doesn't work. So for me, I get up there, and my husband always jokes, I become a different person. I'm like it's like my alter ego is on stage. And then I come off and I'm like, wow, that was truly amazing.
Yeah, I can relate. I can definitely relate to that. It has happened to me quite a few times as well. I wanted to ask you, look, going through your profile, you have done a lot. You're doing a lot. You have accomplished a lot. What were key defining moments that accelerated your career to a whole nother dimension? What were those earlier on, middle of your career, and even right now? What have been, because I know you mentioned mentorship earlier on, but what what specific things where you could say, you know what, had this not happened, the other 5 things that followed after that would not have happened? Do you mind going into detail about that?
I think one was my first role as a speaker in the industry. I worked with VistaCon with J&J. My rep had nominated me as a speaker. Wow. And I had no idea what I was doing, but I said, sure, I'll try this. So I think if I was terrified of public speaking, I could not have imagined myself being a speaker, but I thought, this.
I don't believe you, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't believe you.
Oh gosh. I mean, in high school and college, you would never have caught me talking in front of a group. I don't know where it came from, but it was not always the way I was. So if you're somebody who doesn't think of yourself as a public speaker, I've never taken a public speaking class. I've never, done a presentation in high school or college. I'd stand up there with like my notes and be like, oh gosh, but I think when you're speaking about something that you're passionate about, it's very easy. So I will say, my first speaking job with J&J, them taking a kind of a chance on me, and I went through their whole speaker program. That's one. If I hadn't done that, and I was pregnant with my first son, so there's never a good or bad time to do things. So I was pregnant with my first son. I went to the speakers training. He was 6 weeks old. I flew to Arizona. And I did it the whole first year that he was a baby. I'd fly and speak. I don't know if I recommend that, but it just timing wise, it's how it worked out. So I think that was my first start. And I don't know that, again, I don't know, maybe if you had been born and I thought, I don't know if I would, I think it's the way it works. I think, again, COVID was huge for me in a good way, in that the virtual world really opened up so many opportunities. I mean, you can find me probably 3 nights a week speaking somewhere because of the convenience. I can say yes to a lot more things because I don't have to travel and to leave my family, or my next one will lead into that. But I think kind of this virtual world in general opened up so many opportunities for me that I wouldn't have said yes to if I had to get on a plane or leave my practice or leave my family. So it's much easier for me to say yes to virtual events. I love them. I love connecting with virtual audiences. I love trying to get people to connect with me. I will ask. So virtually, if anyone's out there, please leave a comment now that I want to hear from you. So I love connecting with virtual platforms, and the flexibility, I think, of being able to do more and to say yes to things because I don't have to leave is huge. I think the third thing that helped me was I actually sold my private practice last year. So not something that everyone can do to take the leap into a new career, but I sold my private practice in June. So I'm no longer in patient care. So obviously that frees up a lot more time for me to follow and do other things. I can now travel a bit more where I couldn't really leave the practice as much. So now I can say yes to more things that excite me, or my husband always jokes, if there's a conference in Disney World that needs a speaker, I'll usually say yes. So that goes to the top of my pile. If it's in Disney, you're likely going to get a yes from me. If it's at a Disney World hotel, even more so likely that I'm going to say yes. So I do have my criteria, but I'm more flexible now. I can do things like this at for me, 11:30 on a Monday, where in practice it would be a little more difficult.
When you discovered what direction you're heading into, what are some of the frightening components that you had to overcome in making the decision? Because obviously our industry is structured in the sense that if you want to make money, lots of money, you have to own an optometric practice. And we all get conditioned in that aspect or that part of the journey. Or go corporate and work for various suppliers, the industry. So no one ever talks about the entrepreneurial aspect of it being a full-time job within the context of eyecare. Right. So what were some of the strategies? Obviously now you have to give up some of your gems, because I know that you're inspiring lots of people who are going to be watching this, and they were like, you know what, I want to go that route, but I don't know how. What did you have to overcome in the process of you then being comfortable enough with, yes, I'll sell my practice. Yes, I won't do patient care anymore, and I'm going to do this work full time. Do you mind going into detail about that?
I won the lottery. No, I'm kidding.
I knew it. I knew it.
I'm independently wealthy. So. Oh, I was waiting to say that. This is my lecture style. This is why live is fun. I always say if my cheeks hurt from laughing, I know it's been a good day. I'll say it goes, deeper than that into, being really good at financially setting goals. So, that's another topic for another day. That's not my expertise, but being really, really diligent about your financial success and investing and saving. And thankfully, we were very good at financially kind of supporting this decision, which is not one to take lightly. I'm the breadwinner for my family. So my husband helps me. I always say he helps me with all of my projects and my many, many jobs and roles. And he's kind of my operations person, but it was a big decision to do that. We had set that up many, many, many years in play, not even thinking about this, but really being diligent in saving and being very financially responsible. So I think it doesn't even go back to the decision I made 2 years ago or a year ago, 2 years ago. No, a year ago, but really years and years and years of good decisions and good financial planning and being very, very diligent about kind of thinking about, we didn't know what it was going to be like, but I know we want to be financially responsible. So also looking and then kind of making the decision that if the good thing about optometry, I said, is if it doesn't work, I can always find a job. If this all implodes, no one asked me to do anything, I can always work. Optometrists can always find something. So I didn't feel that I was, going to be unemployable, or that if I made a huge mistake, that was going to be the end. I said, I'm good at figuring things out. I will do whatever it takes to, keep my family afloat. And so we weren't really concerned there. I had built so many relationships. I think what's really important is building relationships. This didn't all happen last year. I had some really, really great relationships that I've made over the years. I attend meetings, I network, I talk to everybody. My biggest advice is I put my phone down. I put it in my bag at meetings as much as I can so that I'm present, and that you never know who you're going to meet, who you're going to sit next to at lunch, who you're going to sit next to in a lecture, who you're going to run into in an exhibit hall where a conversation happens and there's this mutual connection of, I've got an idea, can we connect after the meeting? And that turns into a consulting role or a speaking role. So I think being just open to the possibilities. I always put it out to the universe that I'm open to all possibilities. So I like to be very open at meetings and not, on my sitting and looking unapproachable on my phone. I do disappear once in a while just for like a mental break and to just, I sometimes will go, I'm like, I need like a half an hour in my room just by myself, but I try to be at all of the functions and the happy hours and the exhibit halls. And I don't run outside and check my email or call, be on my phone. I try to just walk up to somebody who's standing by themselves. I'm like, hi, I'm Dr. Stewart. Where do you practice? Or tell me about your company. If I'm walking through an exhibit hall and there's a booth that's empty, I'll walk up and go, hi, tell me about your product. Tell me about you. Tell me about your company. And I think just being really open to those possibilities and not knowing where they'll lead is so important. And so many of us go to these meetings, or I hear from a lot of students or ODs, I won't go if I don't know anybody. And I said, you're right, or I don't know anyone going to this meeting. And it is intimidating. I'm an extrovert. So obviously I'm an extrovert, but it's easier for me. But I will always sit in an empty seat. I'll take the first seat at a table that's empty to try and encourage and, have a seat, come sit next to me. Or, I just try and be really open to meeting. You never know who you're going to meet anywhere. I think also being in organizations is key. I'm a member of the Optical Women's Association. Oh my gosh. Oh, the connections and the people I've met through that. I just got off a call before about a project I'm working on with another member that I met through the OWA. So
Wow.
joining organizations and not joining them in to see, you know, who can I meet that's going to give me an opportunity. If you go into it like that, it's not going to be successful. I go into it saying, who can I meet and who can I connect them with? Who can I meet that's, you know, you should talk to this person. Can I connect the two of you? You know, I know a person that you should talk to. Can I connect you? And that's where these relationships grow. And the more connections that I make and that I connect, I feel like that comes back to me tenfold.
Wow, that's absolutely incredible. And so there's no age limit. You're actually encouraging young ODs, students, to really not put themselves in a little box, but look at the industry as a whole. And I mean, some of the opportunities are even global. You know,
Yes.
they're not restricted to one's country. So I like your approach in terms of building the relationships, leveraging off your network,
Yes.
but also adding value to your network. It's not just what you can get out of it, but it's also what can you contribute towards the growth of that network or organization that you're part of. I absolutely like that. How do you define leadership though?
Leadership?
How do you define leadership with everything that you're currently doing? You sit on different organizations as a member on these different organizations, but you do a lot of work through your consulting firm as well. You have had a broad view of the different aspects or dynamics of leadership from within a practice to an organization to an entrepreneur. So what's your view on leadership within the eye care industry right now? And what's the future of leadership that's required to take eye care to the next level?
I think it's really, again, just being open to connections and really going into it. How can I help other people? How can I inspire people? How can I mentor people? Who can I pair them with? You know, who can I introduce to you for the rest of your episodes? You know, who do I think would be a great guest for you to, things like that. How can I connect people and really lead by example? It would be easy for me to stand up here and say, you know, do this, do that, do this. But if you see me at a meeting, I'm hiding in the corner on my phone, or as soon as I come off the stage, I disappear to my room and I'm just there to speak and I'm not there to do anything else. So I think it's leading by example and really the way that you want to be seen, to be sure that that's authentic to you. So I'm the first person to, again, introduce myself to people and to join committees and to try and give back and to try and lead by example of doing things that maybe people say, I don't have time to do that. I go, well, no one has time to do anything, but if you can dedicate enough time to do that, it's going to pay back. So really just I think leading by example of what you're trying to achieve. How can if I'm looking to make connections in the industry, my goal is to become a speaker or to become a presenter or to become a consultant. It's not enough just to stand up there and go, hello, optometry world, I'm now a speaker. But it's, are you going to events? Are you showing up? Is your name, are you going on LinkedIn? Are you making connections? Are you sharing people's posts? I love to tag people that maybe, this is relevant to. Are you giving back? Are you a member of your state organization? Are you active in your state organization? I'm part of, so many groups, the OWA, I'm on the executive board of the International Sports Vision Association. These are all volunteer positions. None of us get paid for this, but it's really feeling passionate about things and giving that time to mentor other people or to be involved in organizations that we feel passionate about. So it could be as simple as students joining your state organization and asking, how can I help? What can I do as a hopefully member of this group as a practicing optometrist? How can I get involved? What do you need me to do? But as optometrists joining your state organization and saying, can I contribute funds? We need money. Everyone needs money. So here's some money towards our goals, but I want to serve on a committee. And I don't know and people will say, well, I don't know how to do that. No one does. We didn't go to optometry school to learn how to be leaders or to be on committees, but we learn and we join, and it's okay to say, I don't know how to do this. I remember the first time my state organization called and said, we need you to go to the Capitol. There's a bill coming that we really need you to get in front of your state senator, and you need to tell him why they should pass this bill. And I said, I have no idea what you're saying, but if somebody can help me, I don't know how to do that. I'm not a politician, but if you can help me and tell me what to do, or guide me, sure, just tell. And they did that. I drove up to our state association. Our executive director drove me to the Capitol. She handed me off to our lobbyist, who said, here's the person you're looking for. Here's kind of the key things of the bill. We'd love you to just get in front of him and say this to him. And I did. As soon as you wait for them to come out for their break to go to the bathroom and get in front of them, and I said, Senator, I have 3 things to say about this bill and why it's important for optometry. But when that bill passed and it helped my state association, there's no better feeling there. So did I know how to do that? Absolutely not. Had I ever been to the state capitol? No. But I said, I'm willing to help, but just tell me how to do it, or help me. And now I know how to do it. And I have no problem now contacting my senator, my local leadership about bills where people might feel uncomfortable. Well, I don't know what to say. Well, ask for help. Yeah. Tell people, you don't know what, I want to help, but I don't know how. Can you guide me? And I think that's what leadership is not being 100% comfortable in every role, but knowing that, and knowing that you don't know everything, but knowing enough to ask, to volunteer your time and to do something, but also ask for help and say, I might not be perfect at this, but I want to help you. Can you help me a little bit too?
Wow. So this is something that we wrote in preparing for today. We looked at what makes you stand out in our perspective as Dr. Jennifer Stewart. What makes you different? And this is what we had written down. So it would be interesting to find out, how do you think we view you whilst you're busy doing all these things?
Oh my God.
Number one, we see you as someone who has bold capacity, right? That's number one. You have bold capacity, and you go out of your way to build and increase or enhance that capacity. Number two, you genuinely care. That's something that we have observed from you. You genuinely care. Number three, you're very solution orientated. So when I look at the activities that you do, the organizations you get involved with, the work you participate in, you are very solution orientated. Number four, you work well with others. It's as if you don't care who takes the glory, for as long as the job gets done. So that's how we have seen you. And then number five, you're insanely passionate. And that's one thing that has come across even from this conversation. So those 5 things that I've just highlighted, are they any different from how you view yourself over the last few years as a leader?
That is so, I'm so honored. I feel like I'm going to cry. That's like the nicest things and I'm honored that that's what comes through. And that's really, in all the work I do, I think of myself hopefully as authentic and genuine, and that I really do care. Optometry is an unbelievably wonderful career, and it hurts my heart when I hear all the bashing about our career, or the future of optometry is bad and people shouldn't go in optometry. I have the complete other view of that, and I've been very fortunate to just keep evolving and to keep evolving my career. But I do feel there's so many. I was watching a webinar yesterday about specialty care, and the person said, don't chase the shiny thing. And I think that's easy to do in optometry. There's always a new group to join. There's always a new niche, a new specialty, or a new product. So it can be really exciting to chase the shiny thing. For me, there isn't an infinite amount of time. I can't be in every group. I can't be on every committee. So I really, I think for me, what I try to come across as is authentic, and I won't speak about something I don't believe in and that I'm not passionate about. So I think that as a leader, hopefully that's what people see. And that I'm not just, somebody who's going to talk about one thing and talk about another and talk about this. But I thankfully am able to pare down projects to things I really am excited about and believe in. And that, thank you. That was really, yes. I do like to work with other people. I do agree with that. I love working with other people. And yes, I think my biggest joy in my career is making connections. So yes, we're working with other people. But I love to see when I've connected to people and maybe they're on a podcast together and I went, oh my gosh, like these people might not have met, or maybe they would have, but I'm always thinking, who can I connect with other people? Because when I see them together, I'm not even part of it, but it brings me such joy.
Wow. In South Africa, as we get into like the nearing of this conversation, of this masterclass series, in South Africa, I graduated as an optometrist in 2008. And I remember before 2010, that first 3 years of me working as an optometrist, a lot of people did an extra course, and it was called a master's in sports vision. But years later, I don't know anyone in South Africa that is actively involved in sports vision. And then here comes Dr. Stewart, who she's on the executive board of the International Sports Vision Association, actively passionate, getting involved with sports vision. Where did that love come from? And what are some of the work that you're currently doing right now? And would you say that there's a massive opportunity for people to go into that competency area? Because when I look at it in South Africa, I don't know if people did not spot the opportunities, but I feel like sometimes people get these courses, but they don't know how to incorporate it within their optometric practice so that it can add value and increase their value proposition to helping the patients that are in their community. So what are your thoughts around that?
So I was always an athlete growing up. I ran track in college. I've done pretty much every sport. And when I realized I wasn't going to be a professional, I had to figure out a way to support myself. So with optometry, I was introduced to sports vision when I was in optometry school. So I was fortunate to start understanding the field as a first year optometry student. I worked with some optometrists in school who did sports vision. But then, like you said, I did all this work and then I graduated and I did nothing. And, people would ask, oh yeah, how's your sports vision going? I'm like, oh my gosh, I just bought a practice. I'm, trying to just get my life together. Every year would go by and I'm like, oh, another year that I didn't do this that I've always been interested in. I don't know how. I don't know how to do it, how to start a business. I'm just trying to like run a private practice and I don't know what to do. And finally in 2015, I graduated in 2007. So in 2015, my husband and I decided, every year we'd say we're going to do it. I said, I have to do it now or I'm never going to do it. Like this has been for me. And I didn't know how to do it, but I reached out to people and asked, and I read everything possible. And thankfully, this many years later, almost 10 years later, there's so much more information. I joined the Sports Vision Association. I went to meetings and but really took the leap and just said, you know what? I don't think the perfect solution is out there. I'm solution oriented. That was very right. So I'm just going to create this and I'm going to just do the best I can and maybe make some mistakes along the way. But I built Performance 2020, which was a sports vision practice, but have transitioned more into consulting and speaking.
Yo, sorry about that, Dr. Stewart. I think
I'm here.
I'm also, yeah, sorry about that. And it's been good to us. But yeah.
Hold on, I'm getting my camera on. Hold on. What's going on? I'm coming. Oh.
Good to go.
There we go. All right.
Yeah, so in 2015, that's when you decided, okay.
That's when I said, all right, we're going to do this. And we started Performance 2020, which was my sports vision practice. We saw athletes up to COVID, up to 2020. So we went from 2015 to 2020 in-person training with athletes. And now it's turned into more kind of an advocacy, consulting, advisory role where I don't work with athletes in person. I work with them virtually, but I've spent more time on education and getting people interested in sports vision. I recently launched a comprehensive sports vision course to help ODs and other, anyone interested in learning how to build a sports vision practice. I launched a comprehensive course that you can find on my website, OD Perspectives, and doctors or clinicians or anyone can learn there. It's a step-by-step program on everything comprehensive sports vision. So that's something that was on my bucket list to do, to give people the tools to build their own sports vision practice. Because I agree with you, the opportunity is huge, and it is something that's continuing to grow, and that doctors and anyone in the world, I think there is such a huge opportunity in the sports vision world.
As we come into an end, it does this to us.
We made it so far.
Yeah, we made it through this whole time, and just at the end, it messes us up again. So sorry.
That's okay. I think we got most of it in, but I'm gonna, I think there is a huge opportunity. There are so many athletes out there, no matter where we live. So getting involved in the International Sports Vision Association, especially, I think is a great way to network and meet like-minded colleagues and to learn. And my course certainly can help those who are interested but don't know how to take the first step.
Where can people connect with your course?
They can find it on my website, odperspectives.com. Also, if you connect with me on LinkedIn or Instagram, I can happily send the link there. But my consulting, I'll put it in the chat too, so that maybe you can put that. Who knows if this will work? I can't even get over the chat. Okay, so I'll put the course link there. Maybe that'll work in the banner. I'll send that to you if you want to put that in the banner. But yes, please connect with me on social media. That would be a great place. And then I put a link to my course if it works. We'll see. Who knows what'll work right now?
Let's put it up now. Wait.
If not,
no, here we go.
Yeah. But yes, I'm super excited. That was a bucket list for me to develop a course. It was on my list for about 7 years. So don't feel that if you don't get to something, you never will. That took me a long time to get the time to do that. So thank you. Yes, there it is. So that's the link to the course. So you can go there and sign up for the sports vision course. I'm super proud of it. That took me a while too. So
my screen just changed. Let me just change back my screen.
Technology is fun.
Yeah, it's very fun. I don't know what I did.
That's okay.
I don't know what I did here, but yeah, today has been a very fun experience, I must say.
You always have to be ready to work with any circumstances.
Yeah, I think this thing of going live has really challenged me today, but we learn. For me, one thing about it is that whenever there's things like this that happen, one learns and then you go on. You don't stress.
Just keep going.
You just learn from it. It gets better next time, and that's it.
Well, this has been awesome, and I hope it's been helpful for your listeners.
It's actually been absolutely incredible. We are great for your sacrifice. Thank you for going out of your way to add value and not compromising. You know, one thing that I should have mentioned, but that has really come across. You see, my video is really frustrating me now. I need to figure out what's going on. No. I need to figure out this. But anyway, one thing that I wanted to say about you was that you are an ethical leader. You represent ethical leadership, and that for me is absolutely the most incredible thing ever. You represent ethical leadership, and please never change. I wish you nothing but the best with the next 12 months. I can't wait for you to visit the motherland.
Oh, I've never been to South Africa, so I need to get there.
We've got amazing conferences that are taking place here in South Africa. And so we can't wait to hopefully bring you here, because I think you'll have to come with your family, because the minute you touch down, there's no South African that's going to let you go. They're going to want to keep you here and not let you go. So
well, if there's a conference that wants me to come speak, I would welcome the opportunity.
No, absolutely. Everyone, thank you very, very much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure having the incredible Dr. Stewart today, joining us for season 2 of the Masterclass Series. With all the technical glitches, there's a lot of gems that we got to experience today and learn from. And so I'm super excited that everyone is going to be listening to us post the live session is going to find so much valuable insight into key strategies that they can be able to go back into their respective careers, practices, and implement for themselves. Because when they elevate themselves to go to the next level, everything that they're involved with will also elevate to the next level. So thank you very much, Dr. Stewart, for taking time out of your schedule and for us to connect with this. And thank you for your understanding through the technical glitches that we were having. We learn as we go, but you're super cool. And you're the first person to laugh at yourself. And I think I like that about you a lot. You're the first person to laugh at yourself. So thank you very much.
It's been my pleasure. I will say technical glitches are a way of the world that we have to deal with now, especially when we're presenting virtually. It happens to the best of us.
Absolutely. Take care, everyone. Make sure to